We're now going to talk about el imperfecto, which is the imperfect past tense in Spanish. It is used in a different way from the preterite tense, which we've already gone over. But I first want to talk about formation of it before we get into usage. With an AR verb, you're going to take the stem of an AR verb, like hablar would be habla, Habl, and you'll add the following endings. Hablaba, hablabas, hablaba, hablábamos, hablabais, hablaban. For an ER or an IR verb, you are also going to take the stem, like com for comer, and add ia. So you have comía, comías, comía, comíamos, comíais, comían. There are only 3 irregular verbs in the imperfect, and they are ser, era, eras, era, éramos, erais, eran, ir, iba, ibas, iba, íbamos, ibais, iban, and ver, veía, veías, veía, veíamos, veíais, veían. Placement in the with the imperfect. The usage of the imperfect is for 3 different situations in the past. One is to express something that you used to do with the infinitive. So you could say, an example would be podía hablar, which means I used to speak. Another translation of the imperfect would be was plus the gerund, which would be like I was eating, comía. And the other usage is just the simple past, which is our ed example, which would be like I ate or I spoke or I heated up the cheese. The imperfect is mainly used for something that is in the process in the past, where there is no beginning nor end. So we're now going to talk about the actual differences of when to use the imperfect versus the preterite. As a general rule, you can say that the imperfect is used in the past for a continuous action that has no beginning nor end. And as a general rule, the preterite is a completed action in the past, where the speaker feels that the actions are completely finished. Here is a table of both of the tenses together. The preterite is used for a condition or state that is viewed as completely over and no longer in effect. So the example is, ayer estuve enferma, pero hoy me siento mejor. Yesterday I was sick, but today I feel better. And this implies that I'm not sick anymore. The imperfect has a lot more usages. For example, when you're talking about the background of a situation in the past, for example, the weather, or the process of something happening, this is where you're going to use the imperfect. An example is, iba a la clase cuando mi amigo me llamó. I was going to the class, so I was in the process of going to the class when my friend called. Another usage of the imperfect is to talk about repeated habitual actions, like used to. For example, cuando era niña, iba a la playa todos los veranos. When I was a child, I used to go to the beach every summer. Another example of the imperfect is describing a physical, mental, or emotional state that is ongoing. So, yo estaba muy enferma, and that means I was very sick, and we don't know if I'm better today or worse today, but I'm still sick. It's not over. It's an ongoing physical condition. When you use time in the past, it is always in the imperfect. Eran las 2 de la tarde. When you use age in the past, it is always the imperfect. For example, tenía 12 años. Oops. I was 12 years old. Another example is mi amigo tenía 12 años cuando lo conocí. My friend was 12 years old when I met him. Lastly, an example of the imperfect is used in indirect discourse, generally. So what indirect discourse means is something like, he told me that he could come to the party. So that he could come to the party is the indirect discourse. You're talking about what somebody said. This is not a hard and fast rule, but normally when it's the second part of that sentence, that's what's in the imperfect. Me dijo que podía ir a la fiesta.